Started here. First with a question. With Jeff Metcalf from the Arizona Republic. He'll be followed by Josh Weinfuss.
Hey, hi, how you doing? Good to see you. So I was thinking back, the WNBA started when you were 15, and now you're going to be able to play till you're 40, all on the same team. Can you just talk about kind of what that means to you and your role in growing this league?
Oh, wow. I didn't think about it that way, Jeff, but yeah, it's going to be more than, half my life playing in the WNBA, hopefully. And like you said, I remember being 15. I remember going to the Great Western Forum, watching, the WNBA at 15. And, that's when my interest really heightened about playing basketball. The seriousness, how much I loved it, the competitiveness of it. I think the WNBA had obviously a big part of that in that. And, second part of your question, it means a lot to be in one place for my whole career. It really does. The minute I got drafted in Phoenix, I knew it was a place I was going to be for a long time. But like we know in the sports world and just life in general, you don't know where it takes you sometimes. So, to be able to be with an organization that, is as loyal as, I think I've been to them, you don't see that very often. And that's a strong bond that I take very serious. It's one of the things that just throughout my life being, loyal through thick and thin, through ups and downs, it makes the moments that much more special, especially with people that you've done it with the whole 15 years, 16 years now that I've been in actually now 17 years I've been in Phoenix. And, it means a lot to be in one place. When they say my name, I want them to say Phoenix Mercury and vice versa. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Next up, we have Josh Weinfuss with ESPN.com. He'll be followed by Doug Feinberg.
Hey, Diana. Kind of a two-parter. What was the process of getting it done? When did they come to you or you come to them and say you want to get it done? And was there any thought to retiring?
I think day one of free agency, they were my first phone call. They were, the first people who reached out and were like, the very first hour, we're gonna get on, Zoom, which is now the most natural way of talking to people. And, they presented what the future looked like and, how I fit into the future. And, that was a moment where, you think about, well, you didn't have to do this because, this is where I want to be. But, they made the effort to make sure to treat me like I was an unrestricted free agent and I can go wherever I wanted. So that told me that they were very serious about it. And, just to think about all the times that I've had in Phoenix and, the memories we've built. I think the program that we built, the culture, we've done a lot in 17 years and I don't think we're done. And, I didn't think about retiring at all. The bubble for me was just a very, it was one of those times in my life where it could have either, broke me as a player in a lot of ways, or it could have, pushed me forward and forged myself to take this off season as serious as I've taken any other one. And, the bubble was big for me in a way of just proving to myself that I could still play at a high level and still contribute to this team to win a championship, which is, what we're trying to do in these next 2-3 years.
Feinberg, followed by Erica.
Hey, D, good to see you.
Hey, Doug.
So, following up on that last question, first, I mean, do you even entertain offers from other people, like other teams? Like, oh, you said, hey, we want you back. I'm coming back. Or do you, let me get wine and dine by LA. Let me get wine and dine by, you even take those phone calls? You're like, look, I'm going back to Phoenix.
Yeah. When the season ended last year, I left Florida with really an open mind, an uncertain mind. And throughout the whole off season, I would let my mind wander, but at the end of the day, it always came back to Phoenix. I really didn't take any phone calls from anyone. There were, phone calls here and there, but, I'm in a serious relationship here.
And to follow up, you see, obviously, Candace Parker leaves LA to go to Chicago, home, so to speak. you're staying in Phoenix, Sue's staying in Seattle. Are you guys, dinosaur is not the right word, but old guard that you're going to play your whole career with one team, whereas now it seems more like the free agency, more players may be moving. There has been more movement that may be the future of the WNBA as opposed to you, Sue, Catchings, who've all played your careers for one organization.
I mean, it's a new age. It's a different way of thinking. Things are set up differently where, the player does have an option to go explore. And even almost they have the pass from the media and fans and just the way the culture is right now where, to move on to different teams and experience different things. I think it's wonderful. I really do. To think that you get drafted by a team and that's just supposed to be a perfect fit is unrealistic on so many levels. And for Catch and Sue and myself, I mean, we've been lucky that it was the perfect fit in a lot of ways. And that's why we've stayed, our whole careers in one place. But it's just a different time. And you see it on the NBA side. We see it all the time playing overseas where people change teams a lot in women's basketball and men's basketball and soccer. I think that feel of, tying a player to a team, I think those days are over. I really do. Just the way the system's set up as far as player movement.
All right, next up we have Erica. She'll be followed by Cameron Cox.
Hey, DT, thanks for the time. Hope you and the family are well. I'm coming with you from Sports Illustrated. We're doing some stuff leading up to 25 seasons of the WNBA. You hit on this a little bit earlier about growing up, going to WNBA games, but can you maybe take us to the point that you absolutely knew a WNBA career was possible for you, and maybe some of the people along the way that helped to forge that passion and that fire within you to then become a #1 draft pick in 2004?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up as a fan. That's for sure. Like I said, I would go to a lot of Sparks games. And, at that time I was playing AAU, was starting to get a little serious. But even then I was just playing basketball because I really loved it. Because, something to do on the weekends. My best friends played basketball. And as you get deeper into AAU and high school. But I think when it really hit was probably my junior year in college when I saw Swin, Sue, Asia, and Tamika graduate. And then they were playing on this huge stage. And, I remember that whole summer leading up to my junior year. I just saw how real it was, and it was actually people that I played with, my teammates, my friends, and just to see them play on that big stage against the best players in the world. I think that's when it really hit me, like, this is serious and I'm going to, this is something that I want to do and I'm going to put everything I can into it. So that to me was probably the intersection of it being fun and I'm a fan to like, this is what I want to do.
All right, next up is Cameron Cox with 12 News. He'll be followed by Howard Megdal.
ADT, congrats on the new deal. Welcome back to Phoenix. I was digging up some old video of your draft night back in 04, and I always run into your video and then Larry's a few days later. If you could still do this at 38, can Fitz still do it at 37? He's yet to commit yet. So any advice to him for making the decision to come back? And would you like to see him back?
Oh, who wouldn't want to see Larry come back? I mean, when you talk about just monumental figures in the NFL, I mean, you talk about Larry. When you talk about someone you want your son to be like, it's Larry. When you talk about someone that, symbolizes Phoenix and the grit that we have, it's Larry. And after watching him play this year, why wouldn't he want to come back with that young roster? And he brings that stability of this is how things are done to get where you want to go. And, for the organization, for the city, for us as, fellow athletes in Phoenix, we follow his footsteps in a lot of ways and the ways that, he's carried himself off the field, on the field. He's on Mount Rushmore. He's on Mount Rushmore and we need him in Phoenix.
All right, next is Howard Megdal, followed by Brendan Clean.
Hey, Diana, congratulations.
Hey, Howard. Thank you.
Good to chat with you always. I'm hoping you can take me through. There's obviously been a lot of conversation around BG, and you have as much history with BG as anyone. And partnership that's won a lot of games in Phoenix. I'm wondering if you could provide any clarity on what you've seen firsthand and sort of how you view that partnership going forward and her role in Phoenix as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, BG and I, we have a great relationship. You know, she's been so vital to our success in so many ways. And obviously, the bubble was just a situation that, you know, sometimes you need to step away from the game. I've had to do that in different manners in my career, and I think sometimes you just need to press the reset button. And I think moving forward, you know, as a team, as an individual, really everyone in the organization, just moving forward and looking what the future looks like. And, you know, I think the times that we've been able to be healthy and on the court, we have as good a chance as anyone else to win a championship. And I think that's what I look forward to the most.
So just 2021 you see as a year that you and BG are playing together, and that's what you hope.
Yeah, I mean, we're both under contract. We both better show up in shape and ready to go. I think that's one thing that I keep stressing to, you know, especially BG and Skylar and, you know, Bria Hartley. We got to come in and we got to be at our peak. We have to be elite. And that's just more than points and assists and rebounds. That means a presence, coming to work every day, taking it serious. You know, those are the things that galvanizes a team. And, you know, I've always taken that very serious. And I think collectively as a group, if we can get that mindset back and be consistent, you know, we have a lot of talent on this team, and we've had some shortcomings in different ways, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Next up is Brendan Clean, followed by Lindsey Gibbs.
Hey, Diana, I'm sure with Bria going down and BG not being there in the playoffs last year, it might be a little tough to take too much away, and the W playoffs can be pretty unforgiving. But what did you see from this group, considering it will be mostly the same set of players this upcoming season, that you feel like, you know, you can build on or that you're excited about? Yeah,
I mean, I look at I am being in the bubble as a whole. You know, I look at our slow start. I look at our 4-game winning streak in between. You know, I look at how we responded to different, you know, injuries, different things that happened to our team. And the one thing that always stayed the same was we were resilient. With all the madness that was happening around us, and every team had their own things that they had to overcome. But just speaking for us, all the things that was going on around, once the game started, all that went away and we competed. You know, and did we win every game? No. Did, you know, we get to where we wanted to go? No. But the one thing that I always said right before the game, this is more than enough. And sometimes it was 7 players and we're like, is this more than enough? But, you know, we made that commitment to ourselves. And you know, even being in the league for that long, to see these younger players, to see Skylar, who hadn't played basketball in a long time, to take on that character, you know, it gave me a lot of juice, and I was ready to compete with those girls. I mean, they played hard. Kia was great for us. Breezy was unbelievable. So in a lot of ways, it unlocked a lot of greatness in people that we maybe would have never seen.
All right, next up is Lindsey Gibbs, followed by Zachary Moore.
Hey, Dana, you said that they came to you with a vision, right? What was that vision? Like, what was it that kind of struck you? You said, you know, you didn't really need much recruiting, but I'm wondering kind of what does that look like?
Well, I think, you know, when you have such deep history with a team, and like I said, it's really been a relationship since day one, building, you know, that trust and that loyalty. And, you know, we obviously went through, if we went through the rabbit hole of the history that we've had, and there was a sense of like, this is where we want to go from here. And, you know, I think sometimes when you are afraid to say certain things as far as, you know, what you think the future looks like, you know, I think that can hamper a team. But I think Pittman and Sandy, they have a clear cut way of what we want to do to get back to winning a championship. And, you know, that doesn't mean necessarily changing a roster, or it just is a main focus of this is what we're trying to do for the next 2-3 years. And, you know, that's kind of what I wanted to hear. That's where I want to get back to. I love to play basketball. I have fun doing it, but it's always a little bit better when you win and you have that vision and that burning desire that you're doing it to win a championship. And, they conveyed that to me. And, I didn't want to go, obviously, anywhere else. This is where I want to end my career.
All right, next is Zachary Moore, followed by Felipe Coral.
Hey, Diana. You touched on the serious relationship, as you put it, with the Phoenix Mercury with all your years here, and certainly your impact on the community of Phoenix. With the recent success of WNBA merchandise, how do you see the WNBA community and beyond continue to empower future game changers in sport, particularly women?
Yeah, it's huge. It's one of the initiatives, I think, since the WNBA started 25 years ago. It was to get more girls to play basketball. It was to get women to support women in sports. And I talk about it all the time. I think it's a great question that's raised a lot. And it starts in the grassroots. It starts in the community. And I think, we in Phoenix do it better than anyone else as far as having initiatives and things that are important to us as players to get across to the community. And you see that when you come to the games. I mean, these are not fans. These are people we've known for decades now that have been coming to the games for, since day one. I mean, there's an inherent relationship between the organization, the franchise, and the community. And I don't know if you see that everywhere else in the country in different sports, but to us, that relationship is very important. We want the community and the fans to feel like that they're part of the team. When we win, they win. When we lose, they feel that hurt too. And I think, like you said, with the popularity of the WNBA and merchandise, in a lot of ways, reflects what the people want. There's a hunger for that. There's an appetite for that. And I think that that's only going to get bigger and better with, not only the league getting better, these amazing young women that are doing so many things on and off the court. And I think that those crossroads are going to come together, and this league is only going to get better.
Next is Felipe Coral, followed by Paul Richardson.
Buenos días, Diana. La primera pregunta, ¿cómo te sientes de quedarte en un equipo y en una ciudad a la cual le has entregado todo por ese nivel de excelencia como atleta? Y la otra, ¿cómo le haces para llegas a la liga y has mantenido ese nivel de excelencia?
Uh-huh. Y bueno, estando con un equipo siempre fue algo bien importante para mí. Cuando vos miras a los mejores jugadores de los mundos, de cualquier deporte, sí, Messi en Barcelona, Kobe acá con los Lakers, Larry Bird con los Celtics. Siempre quería que mi nombre sería sinónimo con la ciudad de Phoenix. Fue el primer equipo que me dio la oportunidad para jugar profesionalmente acá en los Estados Unidos, y para mí fue una cosa bien importante para quedarme y terminar mi carrera ahí. Y ellos me dieron esa oportunidad, y cuando me dijeron eso, cuando empezó Free Agency, todas las otras cosas se pusieron al lado y era la cosa que quería hacer más que nada. Y estando en un nivel bastante elite a los 39 años, es difícil, no es nada fácil. Es una cosa que se tiene que trabajar todos los días, físicamente, mentalmente, especialmente en la liga de nosotros, que terminó en septiembre y ahora empieza en mayo. Son 8 meses de pensando mucho de otras cosas que puede hacer, pero si todavía tener el alma y el corazón para jugar, te da ese ánimo para seguir. Y yo creo que el verano pasado, cuando pude jugar a ese nivel que estoy acostumbrada, me dio un poco más de pasión para volver y volver mejor que en los años anteriores. Yo no quiero ir a jugar en la cancha y no tratando de ser la mejor, no tratando de ser la mejor para mi equipo y para ganar.
All right, next up, we have Paul Richardson, followed by Raphael Haynes.
DG, thanks for talking to us. I'm sitting here and I'm listening.
Paul, did you get that?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
It's kind of hard sometimes when you're on the journey to look back, but with all that you've accomplished with the Mercury, sometimes you just sit in your room and be like, damn, we've done a lot in 17 years. And now with this group, I have an opportunity to possibly hang a couple more banners up there.
That is the tricky part about being with a team for so long, is you experience the waves of, not making the playoffs my first 3 years in the WNBA, winning a championship, the next year not making the playoffs, winning another championship, the next year, the roster disbands, and for 5 years we're kind of like, what's going on? Like, are we ever going to get back there? Then 2014, we put together this team that kind of just, happened organically with, getting Penny in 2004, drafting DB, drafting BG, getting Pre from a trade. It's like you go through it all. You go through the ups and the downs, and you go through them sometimes for periods where you don't know if they're ever going to come back or they're ever going to end. So, sitting here knowing that, I signed for 2 years and we have 2 years to kind of get back to where we want to go. I think everyone has the appetite for that. And, I want to keep adding. I'm not satisfied with what we've done with, personally what I've done. And I think collectively as a franchise, we want more. And I think that's why this is a special place. And, Pittman, our GM, says all the time, we're here to win championships. We're not here to rebuild. We're not here to, make over a roster. We're here to put a roster together to win a championship. And I think I said it before, we've had a couple things not go our way, and, I can rattle them off and complain all I want, but at the end of the day, we didn't win a championship. And that's where we want to go.
And next is Raphael Haynes, followed by Christina Williams.
Hey, Diana. Raphael Haynes with the 3-point conversion. Diana, right now we look at Tom Brady at his age. You see what he's doing, has a chance to get another Super Bowl. LeBron James, like 55 years old, still dominating the NBA. You just signed this contract with Phoenix. What drives you? And I'm sorry if you answered this already, but what drives you and keeps you going and keeps that fire going?
Oh man, I just love to compete. I just love, and it's more of proving it to myself than anyone else. It's this, it's this feeling of not being good enough, even with looking back on what I've done in my career. I still want more. I still want to keep proving myself. I still love to compete. I still love to get ready for a season. I still love when, someone tries to body me in a game and then it's like, oh, shit's going to break loose right now. Like those moments I still love. I still get up for those moments. And I said, when I don't have that competitive fire anymore, whether that is mentally, whether that's just physically not being able to get up for games, I can go and do something else and be completely content with what I've done. And you talk about that fire, and, you don't have that fire in whatever you do in sports and your career. And if you don't have that fire and that passion for it, then you don't get the best out of yourself and, out of your teammates and your colleagues. So I still feel like I have a lot to prove to myself and to all my teammates every time I walk into that gym.
Hey guys, we'll be wrapping up here shortly. Next, we have Christina Williams, followed by Ari Chambers.
Hey, Diana, it's Christina from Girls Talk Sports TV. So my question for you is, you're obviously one of the most influential figures in all of sports, especially women's basketball, someone who's risen above the challenges and shattered some ceilings in sports. When it's all said and done, and I don't know if you answered this already, I came in late, what do you want your legacy to be? And also, if you could give your younger self any advice, what would it be?
Mm-hmm. The beauty about legacy is you don't get to write it. I mean, I have no say in how other people perceive my legacy. All I can do is put together this little body of work, and then here, you guys do what you want with it. I really don't get to say. I know the work, the time, the effort, the things that I've had to sacrifice to keep playing basketball. And I look back on those times. Penny and I talk about it all the time. Would you trade this for that? And I wouldn't trade anything in the world for what I've gotten to experience playing basketball. So that would be my legacy, is if you're willing to give up your life, you have a chance.
Next, Ari Chambers, followed by Ann Myers Drysdale.
Hi, Diana. you were just talking about, I was going to ask you the elements of being a GOAT, which you can also answer too, but you were talking about the fire inside of you and trying to be your best Diana. But what does your best Diana Taurasi look like?
One who's engaged, one is who is in sync with everyone on their team, with the organization. And the beauty with playing so many years is I think you can identify when you're not your best self. And I think as you get older, and I skipped your the second part of your question, and I think this comes with, maturity and experiences, you're able to identify that and not let that linger in your career, whether it's, having a bad day, having a stretch of 2 or 3 bad games, one possession, kind of putting you out for a quarter. I think that is the one thing that I would tell my younger self: get over it, stop pouting.
All right, we have time for just 3 final questions. Next, we have Ann Myers Franson, followed by Jeff Metcalf.
Unmute. Can you hear me?
We could always hear you, Annie.
Oh, geez. Hey, good morning and congratulations. Welcome back. I wanted to kind of follow up on the Larry Fitzgerald thing. So Chris Paul is now with Phoenix, and what did that mean to you with him coming? Because I know you have a relationship through the Olympics and everything. And at 35, he's still doing it. But the competition and just the relationship that you two have that has grown over the years.
I love Chris. He's one of my favorites. We actually walked into 2 opening ceremonies together, just chatting about basketball, about life. Next thing you know, we're walking into the stadium and we're like, oh, this is the opening ceremonies, and we're talking about who knows what. And I've just admired Chris so much, just his competitive fire. And I think that's one thing that if I ever tell young kids is watch Chris Paul play basketball. He doesn't just play the game. He's trying to beat the game. He's trying to win. And those are the things that, I look at when I watch other players is, do you just play the game or are you trying to win? Are you just trying to score points? Or are you trying to win? And he tries to win. And you could see that because everywhere he goes, he's on winning teams, especially he goes to sometimes, teams that have a glimmer of hope, that have a bright future. And Chris comes in and he shows them what it looks like. And even watching him play for, since his college days, now I obviously watch every game, love the Suns, and you see that every game and you see everyone's level just rise. And, it's the same with Larry. And to be able to see those guys firsthand, that's been the best lessons that I've had as an athlete.
All right, next is Josh Weinfuss and Jeff Metcalf to round us out.
Hey, Dan, another 2-parter for you. How many teams reached out? Do you know? And the second part of that is, 2 years after all the back issues, how are you feeling? Are there any lingering effects? What's the status right now?
Yeah, I mean, I had about 2-3 teams reach out, and through my agent, and but nothing really came of it, obviously. But I had actually tremendous respect for them because, I think the position that I was in, and maybe Sue, that people just thought we were going to stay no matter what, and at one point I was like, really? Like, no one gives me any credit for maybe wanting to do something different. Maybe they're right. And as far as physically, the hurdle that I had to overcome with back surgery and just lingering hamstring tendonitis, I mean, it was just constant every single day trying to get a little bit better. And, finally now, which it seemed like at that point that I was never going to be able to feel just healthy. And it was unfortunate that there weren't more games in the bubble. I think by game 10, 12, I started feeling normal again. Like, hey, this is what it looks like when I feel healthy again. These are the things I can still do. So, just try to continue that every single day in the weight room, on the court, therapy. I mean, it's just a laundry list of things that I need to check off every week to make sure I'm ready to go in April, and kind of, making sure that the plan is tailored to, when April comes around to being in my best form. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, next up we have Jeff Metcalf.
So, so to jump back a little bit to building off the bubble season, you guys really made a lot of progress, particularly the three guards. And so how can you build off that for this season, and particularly then when it comes to making things work again with Brittany, which you didn't really get a full season to try to do that between you, Skylar, and Hartley?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it was like anything when you get a different collection of players. I mean, we had, I don't know how many new faces come into our team. And, you know, to be frank, training camp was relatively light, and, you know, you really couldn't do much. You had people not have access to gyms and weight rooms. I mean, you know, it was challenging to put it all together. And, you know, there were glimpses of stretches of games where we all played, and you're like, okay, this is how it'll fit together. So I just think we have to really go back in our memories and see the things that worked really well, and try to make them mesh. You know, to make sure to play to everyone's strengths, to make sure collectively to be on the same page as far as how we want to play stylistically. The things that, you know, when BG's there, these are the things that work really well for us. And, you know, when she left, how we kind of morphed into a different team, and how do you put those two things together? And there's no reason why we can't play at that high level with, you know, our full roster. And, you know, that's going to be a mindset, and that's going to be a lot of sacrifice. But I think we're all old enough to know that if you want to win, you're going to have to sacrifice whatever that might be.
We have one final last one coming in by Pepper Pursley.
Hi, Diana. It's great to talk with you again.
Hey,
I have 3 quick questions for you. Firstly, what are you doing to prepare for the 2021 season?
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I mean, it's a lot of preparation. Like I said earlier, it's a lot of weight room work. It's a lot of treatment. It's a lot of on-court. And, you know, these off seasons for me have been, every off season's been a little bit different as far as the things that I can kind of tweak and work on, the things that I need to still improve on to make sure I'm more effective in games. And it gives me a little bit broader lens of the things that can help our team and help me going forward. So I really use these off seasons as smart, as effective as possible. And, you know, they're long off seasons. So there's, you know, peaks and valleys that you have to make sure you account for.
All right, Dee, appreciate the time.